Watching news at Prime, let's bring you this discussion now. U.S. President Donald Trump's Republican Party is under pressure. This is ahead of the midterm elections. This comes as immigration officials come under fire for the deaths of 2 American citizens during inspections in Minneapolis. On top of that, there are calls for the 2026 FIFA World Cup to be moved away from the United States. Let's get a clear understanding now of what's going on there. U.S. correspondent Simon Marks talking to us now. Simon, good evening to you. And the ICE agents posting on their website, we understand, a list of the people that they are branding worst of the worst. And among those people, it's understood there is a South African among them. Talk to us about that.
That's absolutely correct, Gully. I think it's important to underscore that they brand these people the worst of the worst because they are trying to convey to the American public and to the wider world that the mass deportations that the Trump administration is engaged in are targeting primarily, they claim, proven criminals and threats to American towns and cities that are posed by some illegal immigrants. Now, in Minneapolis, that argument does not cut it with thousands of local residents who say that from their own experience, they know that ICE and Border Patrol agents are invariably targeting people with no criminal record whatsoever. But you are absolutely right. Suddenly, a South African has been placed on the list. Jacobus Jancy van Rensburg is described by ICE as a criminal illegal alien from South Africa who has been taken into custody and will presumably now be deported on charges relating to aggravated assault with a weapon, assault, and driving under the influence of either alcohol or drugs. It's not specified in this posting on ICE's social media account. Now, I have not been able independently to corroborate that Mr. van Rensburg has been taken into custody. I don't even know where in the United States he was apprehended. I've certainly seen lots of discussion on various South African online forums about whether he might be one of the Afrikaner farmers who has been resettled under the United States refugee program here in the United States. That is not the case because ICE is describing him as a criminal illegal alien. And if he'd been resettled here as a refugee, he would not be an illegal alien. He would have legal status in the United States. But who exactly he is, where he was picked up, and under what circumstances he now finds himself, we've got no idea. Perhaps the South African embassy here in Washington, D.C. Might be offering some kind of consular assistance. I don't know the answer to that question yet. But this does demonstrate that ICE is eager to make it clear that they are going after people who have either a criminal record or who are accused of alleged crimes. Again, we don't know if these crimes that they claim Mr. van Rensburg took part in are allegations or whether he's been through any kind of court process. I certainly can't find any legal documents relating to him or to his presence in the United States at all. Yeah. But this is an effort by ICE, I think, once again, to underscore they're going after what they call the worst of the worst, and that can ensnare people who are not of colour, but absolutely can ensnare white South Africans as well.
Simon, let's stick with the ICE activities for the moment. The political repercussions here. President Trump understood to be facing pressure from the Republican Party to fire some senior officials. This is over the killing of 2 residents, or should we say citizens of the United States, particularly in Minneapolis. What is the status quo there?
Well, he's in a terrible jam, Golly, particularly over that second slaying, the killing of 37-year-old Alex Pretty in Minneapolis on Saturday by Border Patrol agents. Mr. Pretty, an intensive care unit nurse, like Renee Good, who was killed on the streets of Minneapolis by ICE earlier this month, a US citizen, and Mr. Pretty engaged in his legal right to observe Border Patrol operations, to record those operations on his cell phone. And despite the falsehoods that have tumbled from the lips of senior Trump officials, including the President's Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, and Stephen Miller, his Deputy White House Chief of Staff, that Mr. Pretty was a domestic terrorist, or in the words of Stephen Miller, a would-be assassin, there is no evidence from the numerous video clips that were recorded at the scene, nor indeed apparently from the body camera footage that has now been part of the investigation that is getting underway into his killing. No evidence to suggest that he was any kind of threat to the Border Patrol agents who killed him. So you've got Republicans now, at least two in the United States Senate, calling on President Trump to fire Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security. The president saying he won't do that. He has removed the head of the Border Patrol, both from Minneapolis and, it seems, from his position as Commander-at-Large of the Border Patrol. But that is not going to satiate the critics within the Republican Party, many of whom come from the pro-gun lobby. Remember, Mr. Pretty was carrying a pistol. He did not brandish it at Border Patrol agents. There is no evidence that he threatened them with it. And he was legally allowed to carry that pistol because it was a legally permitted handgun. And the National Rifle Association, the powerful pro-gun lobby, usually very sympathetic to the Republicans, is riding to his defense in a second social media posting today. So Donald Trump's in difficulty over this. And where he's going to go in terms of potentially shaking up his inner circle is unclear. At the moment, he seems to be doubling down, but Republican anger over the way in which these ICE and Border Patrol agents have been operating in Minneapolis and in other cities is definitely beginning to grow.
Let's quickly talk about how serious these calls are for the FIFA World Cup to be moved from the United States, and who is making these calls.
Well, I think there is a growing chorus of calls that the United States is certainly hearing from Europe. We know that Sepp Blatter, the former president of FIFA, has expressed sympathy with the view that people should not be traveling to the United States to attend World Cup matches this year, and that perhaps the World Cup should be moving. FIFA should be moving those World Cup fixtures, including Bafana Bafana's second match due to be held in Atlanta, Georgia, out of the United States. Remember that Mexico and Canada are also hosting matches. We know that the Italians are furious at the revelation that ICE agents are going to be part of the security detail that heads to the Winter Olympics in Italy within a matter of weeks. And they are, in the form of the mayor of Milan, insisting that ICE is not allowed to enter Italy and should not be part of that security detail. So I think that we know that the German, one of the German Soccer Federation Executive Committee members has also posited the idea of FIFA pulling out of the United States. That would be a hugely complicated move this late in the process, and it would be one that Donald Trump, I think, would vigorously fight. But, you know, the more these scenes of violence are shown around the world on the streets of Minneapolis and in other places, those calls are only going to intensify.
Yeah, and an image-conscious Donald Trump will probably want to veer from that. We'll see where this goes. Let's end the conversation, Simon, with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, seemingly threatening to attack Iran. Let's explain exactly what's going on there.
Yeah, he put a posting out on his social media account within the last couple of hours saying a massive armada is heading to Iran. It is moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm and purpose. And he tells the Iranian government in this social media posting that time is running out if they want to avert a US military strike on their country. He urges them quickly to come to the table and negotiate a fair and equitable deal, one that is good for all parties. What the contours of that deal might look like, he doesn't go into detail here. Remember that during the recent protests in Iran, the president was threatening military action to come to the aid of demonstrators. He then didn't take it, saying that he had received assurances that the killing of demonstrators was stopping, and he claimed that more than 800 executions had been called off as a result of efforts by the United States to threaten military action against Iran. But now, needing a distraction away from those other issues that we've just talked about, Donald Trump is suddenly indicating that that military strike may come soon, and he says it will be far worse, a major destruction of Iran, far worse than the military strike with the bunker-busting bombs that he used to destroy Iran's nuclear sites last year.
He could be desperate for a diversion. Simon Marks, thank you very much. Let's leave there.